guys, happy.
You're looking very pink.
Yep.
You've got the glow tonight, haven't you?
What kind of glow, mate? Just got a bit of tuna stuck in my teeth, so apologies while I try and fix it behind my cup.
So we have got a popular one tonight. Progressive overload. And
WTF.
And what the WTF is there?
What the fay is it?
What the fay is there?
So, guys, you know this drill. Let's see who comes up first. If you're watching live, Rosie. There we go. Rosie's back from wherever the bloody hell she's been. She fell for face of the earth.
Where the WTF has Rosie been?
What the fay? WTF has Rosie been. But guys, when you get in here, drop your name in the comments. Say hello. What is up? I'm here. And if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay so we can see who's turning up on the replay as well, guys. We can see you guys are live and watching here. Some people are on my Facebook, you little stalkers. And then, so 50% are on my page, my personal page, and 50% in the Busy Women's group, in the free group. Hey, Jody, you're going to love this one. Julie, welcome. Sam, Hannah, loving it. Susan, there we go. Lots of our clients, they freaking love getting value, don't they? They love getting education.
It's the only way to improve, isn't it?
I think so. Knowledge is power. Health is wealth. Anyone got any more of those little?
I've run out of them.
Me too. Anyway, today, because it's Wednesday. Hey, Holly. Wednesday is only a short one. It's only 30 minutes. Actually, most of them are now going to be more towards the 30-minute mark, due to the fact we are 2 hours ahead of the UK now. It's very late. It's like, well, it's not very late. It's 9 o'clock. But we don't want to be finishing at 11 because we know the importance of good sleep, and all of our clients will tell you sleep is something that we go on about all the time. It's one of the first things we help clients with, because that is like the bedrock of good weight loss and good healthy hormones. So we're going to jump straight into it today. We are going to be talking about progressive overload as requested by Grace. You want to add Grace in this?
Where's my phone? Grace.
As requested by Grace. But also Jody is going to love this. Who else did we just say? Jenna, Debbie. Has everyone seen my post? Our post about the wonderful Debbie. She looks fantastic, doesn't she? So those are some of the people that we think would love this. But I'm going to ask a question at the end. Actually, I'll ask it now. Who is progressive overload for, Cam?
I was actually going to say this is how we should start it off. So great minds think alike, as we could say. I would say it is for absolutely everyone. It is the one thing that would stay consistent in a fat loss, in a maintenance, or a lean bulking, building muscle, toning up phase. Like this one thing would never change. You'd apply it in the same way, but you'd have a little bit different realistic expectations at the end of it, or what you would get out of it. But applying it still goes across the board. Like this would just never change. It'd also never change if you were 20 years old or 60 years old. Like this one thing stays all the way through. And some might argue it's anti-aging.
Some may argue that. Yes, I would agree. Hey, Vicky. So first of all, like Cam just said, everybody should be doing this. So if our clients are watching this, which I know 10 of them are, I can see them in the comments, you need to be applying this if you're exercising. So some of our clients don't exercise for one reason or another, but the majority of them do. Hey, Soph. So we're going to talk to you guys about how you should be training, what the FAE is, progressive overload. Campbell, your eyes are going to be rolled. If the wind changes direction, you're going to be walking around like this. Anyway.
Okay, Mum.
You're going to get square eyes and they're going to be rolled back like this. We're going to... We're going to be teaching you about what it is, and you guys should be doing this. Okay, so what is progressive overload? What you may find is people saying it's the total volume lifted. Okay, so progressively overloading the muscles. Okay, now it makes sense. Progressively overloading. Duh, we're going to overload them like a little bit at a time. And typically, people will say it's weights. Okay. But that's not true. That's not strictly true. There's lots of ways to progressively overload a muscle. We'll talk about the main one first, the weights, the reps, the sets, then we'll talk about some options. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So get a pen and paper because there's some maths involved. I have not written notes, so we're going to use easy numbers to hopefully enable me to give this demonstration. Okay, so let's say you were doing 5 sets of 5 reps. Okay, so in total, 5 times 5. So a rep is like, let's say we're doing a overhead press. So we're doing like 1. Okay, so you're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, rest. That's 1 set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, rest, 2 sets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3 sets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. Okay, so now if we multiply 5 sets by 5 reps, 25. Okay, we all agree with that? It's 25 reps. Now, to get your total volume or mass lifted, you need to multiply those reps by the weights that you used. Now, if you are doing different weights per set, you're going to multiply them one line at a time. But because I have not got a pen and paper and I'm not good with quick maths, we're going to just say you use the same weights to the whole thing. And that's going to be 10s because I can multiply by 10 in my head. So we're going to do, say we use 10 kilograms, okay? So we use 10 kilograms every single time for 25 reps altogether. That's 250 kilograms that you would have lifted. Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot, 250 kilograms, that's a lot. Okay, so the next time you go, maybe you do one more rep, okay? You do 5, 5, 5, 5, and then do 6 on the last one, okay? So now you've got 250 plus the 10. So you've got 260 kilograms. Does that make sense? So last week you did 250 kilograms. This week you did 260 kilograms. You've progressively overloaded the muscle via increased reps. And that is by an extra 10 kilograms. So if you keep doing this, 1 rep, 1 rep, 1 rep, 1 rep, 1 rep, 1 rep, then it's going to go up by 10 kilograms every single time. If you increase the weights instead, let's say you did 20, because I may be able to do this one in my head. So you did 250 kilograms last time. This time you did 20 kilograms instead of 10. This time you lifted 500 kilograms. That's massive, isn't it? That's a massive jump. So you can see how we're progressively overloading the muscle. So this is the total mass that you've lifted. That's just one exercise though, right? So you would also do, say that's your press, you also do your squat, you do your bench, you do your hip thrusts, you do your kickbacks, wherever. You would look at the total lifted throughout the whole thing. Now, Cam has got a spreadsheet on this. It's not necessary really though, is it? Like, you know, yeah, you've got one. And it adds them all up. Yeah, you've got one. I've seen it.
I haven't used it for a while.
No, you haven't, no. Because it's not that important, is it? Like, as long as you're progressively adding on one more rep, one more set, one more weight, like an extra kilogram or whatever, then you will be progressively overloading. So this is why it's really important to have a pen and paper, like a book that you write your reps in and wherever from last week, so that this week you can try and do heavier or one more rep, one more set. Or alternatively, if you're one of our clients, we have got a lovely app. And in there, guys, if you didn't know, say you've got your press, you've got your video in there, you've got your reps and your sets. There's also a little button under there that says exercise history. If you click on that, it's going to show you what you did last week, the week before, the week before, the week before, the week before, from the beginning, basically. So you can look at what you did last week, and now you can try and improve that this week. Okay, so if you didn't know, on the app, that is a little tool that some people miss, but I think it's a really important tool.
Yeah, super basic, but just the power of logging and knowing what you've done. So many people go into a gym, and it's the reason, like, why do people go to the gym for a year and not really look any different? Like, they'll get the initial change from couch potato to gym hero, and they'll look slightly different because you've started doing something. But then within 2 to 3 months, it sort of fades out. And it's because of this reason. They get to a point where they're sort of comfortable, and then they don't really know what they've done the last week. So they just either guess or they go to how they're feeling. And sometimes you might feel like you've got less energy, lots of different reasons, but you could still maybe lift similar to what you did last week. You don't have to be progressing overloading absolutely every week.
Yeah.
You
on every single exercise.
Yeah, you will reach a point where you're staggered, and then it takes a couple of weeks or months to increase a weight.
Or years.
But that's fine. The more advanced you get, the longer progressive overload takes. The more of a beginner you are, the quicker like you'll see progression within the gym. But like that's the most thing. People just do random things, or they'll go to. I've had bad sleep, so I'll just lift 30 kilos lighter. But when they could actually be matching what they did last week, or even maybe improving by like 1 rep.
Or they're like, oh, what did I do last week? Oh, I think I did 6. And then they just do 6 again. It's like,
and then they do like 4 and less weight because one weight's being used. And they've actually gone back on what they've been doing. Again, a couple of sessions, that's not really going to affect you. But if that's what you continually just yo-yo up and down, this is probably one reason I'd say why people, like we said, go to the gym and then look the same.
Yeah, and if you are a newbie, if you're one of our clients, you will notice that when you're really early on, you progress very, very quickly. Some things I've been stuck on a weight for fucking years. I'm going to be honest, years. I've been stuck on some weights for years. I just can't get past it. We will talk about another time how to get past those plateaus. But yeah, let's go on here. Another thing I want to talk about is what you kind of mentioned there. People going in and kind of doing this because that's free, or doing this because that's free, or doing this because that's free. Like, we need to make sure that we are staying with a program week to week to week, and not just going, which way is the wind blowing? Okay, yeah, let's do that one. Or what's free? I'll just do that. Because we can't track it then, and your body needs to have a consistent resistance and have some sort of routine, so it knows, okay, I need to get better at this. It's like if you're practicing a song, right? If you're like learning a song or learning a language, the more you practice it, the more ingrained it is, the better you get at it. So it's exactly the same with muscle building. You need to practice the same movements for a long time. Lots of people will change week to week, every month kind of thing. The sweet spot, to be honest, I know between 6 and 16 weeks is the kind of sweet spot. But, it depends. If you're still making gains at 16 weeks, carry on with it. It's not broken. So how can we progressively overload if we are, using exercise selection?
So the main thing is like you maintain the same like movement pattern. You wouldn't be like doing a hinge where you do a deadlift and then suddenly for the same sort of exercise you've switched it and now you're doing a shoulder press. So that's like a vertical press. You wouldn't have that such random exercise selection. What you can do is if you do plateau in some exercises, or you just want to carry on, or even like we said, you've gotten to the end of that 16 weeks, you just fancy something new, you would keep the same movement pattern. So a hinge, as the example, deadlift, you could then switch that to
Romanian.
Like an RDL, stiff leg deadlift. You got like a trap bar deadlift. They're pretty much working the same muscle groups, just in a different variation, in a slightly different movement pattern. Like it's still the same movement pattern, but just in a slightly different way. And that's enough to sort of change it up. And re-get the gains going.
And I think another option is to do unilateral training. So instead of doing a squat, you would do a lunge. So it's the same movement, but now you're just doing it one-legged. And if you're doing like an overhead press of the barbell, maybe now you're going to do alternating dumbbells, or just, one arm dumbbells and then the other arm. So it's going to help you overload those muscles in a different way as well. Like even swapping a barbell for a dumbbell can be a completely different.
You could literally do barbell shoulder press for 16 weeks.
Yeah.
And then you could switch it for a dumbbell shoulder press for 16 weeks. As long as you're like overloading it through that is just another way to do it.
And often dumbbells are harder, I think, because you can't compensate.
Yeah. Pretty much. People
hate it when you put in a dumbbell instead of a barbell, because they're like, oh, now I've got light because my weak little left arm here. Anyway, what is another way? So we've spoken about the actual weights you lifted. We've also spoken about exercises. We've spoken about reps and sets. So another one then is intensity. So when you go into the gym, you really want to be pushing the intensity. You don't want to just be going like texting your phone like, yeah, so then I went like this, and then she turned around and, oh my God, can you believe it? I can't even believe that happened. You don't know how many you've done.
That's exactly what Swansea sounds like.
It is. You don't know how many you've done. You're not pushing. You're not concentrating. It's like, it's crap, okay? You're not going to make progress. But if you go in and you're like, right, now I'm going to do my work and set. I'm going to push. I need to think about the muscles that I'm using. I need to really push the intensity. I can't be having a conversation at the same time. It is cognitively impossible to multitask. Okay, it's been proven. You can't do 100%. You can't give 100% when you try and do lots of different things at once. So, when you are trying to listen to your partner and you're also trying to cook, you're either not 100% listening to them, or you've cut your finger because you've been like chopping and too busy listening. So you can't give 100% to more than one thing at once. So you need the intensity, the focus on the lift. There's also different things that you can use to make exercise more intense. Now, these are more advanced things that we do use with our clients, but it's not something we use all the time for every single person, every single exercise or whatever. But things like drop sets, rest pause, trisets, supersets. We don't use them, but what's the restrictive?
The blood flow thing.
Yeah. There's also like a blood flow restriction thing where you put like a strap on your your leg or whatever to restrict the blood flow, which makes it harder. We don't fuck around with that basically, but that's another thing. So you've got things like I say, rest pause, which is when you do like mini sets with mini breaks in between. So you fatigue the muscle more quickly. You do supersets, and there's a plethora of different types of supersets: antagonistic. What's the other one? Antagonistic, like opposite, together, whatever. There's lots of different ones, like doubling up on the same muscle. So there's lots of different supersets you could do. Trisets are when you do 3 exercises together with no break in between, and then drop sets.
Pre-exhaust and post-exhaust.
So a drop set is where you start with one weight, and then you drop and drop and drop with no rest in between. Pre-exhaust is when you like fatigue the muscle before your compound lift, typically. And post-exhaust is when you fatigue after your main lift. So, example, if you're doing a squat, maybe you do kickbacks to fatigue the glutes, then you would do your squat. That is pre-exhaust. And if you were doing it the other way, obviously you would do your squats first and then you do your post-exhaust. So they are things that we add in at a later date for lots of our clients. So, intensity. Frequency, Cam? Do you talk about training frequency?
Well, I was actually going to say the other important thing before we run out of time.
Okay.
I think the biggest thing that most people get the most benefit from, that is, I think, the easiest one to understand is just like tempo. So like at the pace of what you do your lift, if you're doing like 12 reps and you do it in under 12 seconds, you're obviously doing a rep like every half a second. You're probably not getting as much benefit out of some like person B that takes 24 seconds to do the exact same movement and reps, because they're going like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that'd be even more than 24 seconds.
Yeah. I've done a reel on this.
She's done a reel on this.
I haven't put it out yet. I'm just editing it now.
Yeah, time under tension is quite a big thing. and people would really benefit from it, from literally just slowing down their lifts to get full control. Whereas it's very easy to sort of cheat the movement, hide your balance,
use momentum,
hide bad technique, add in momentum if something's challenging. So you can see people will speed up just to try and get through it, and you're not getting any benefit out of it.
No. Sometimes you need the bit of momentum, or it's possible to use it if you're doing like assisted rep, force reps, things like that. But we'll talk about that another time. But generally, you really want to be concentrating on the reps, use intensity and intention to actually get the muscles working. And on that, I also want to add holds as well. Holds can help you progressively overload as well. So maybe if you're doing shoulder press, you hold at the top and then you come back down. You can hold in between, like halfway down, wherever it's going to be. Like holds will also put the muscles under tension in a slightly different way. Training frequency. So when people come to us, one of the questions we ask is, how many days do you think you can go to the gym for the rest of your life? You know, including holidays, work, kids stuff, wherever. We want the bare minimum. Because if you say, oh yeah, I could do 5 days, and we put you in for 5, when you plateau, what are you going to do then? So we want people to do the bare minimum, so 2 to 3 days when they first start, if that. Some people don't exercise when they first start. And then we can add on another day, another day, another day. You just got more tools into your belt, a little bit more wiggle room to progressively overload the muscles. Is that it? Oh yeah, range of motion. Let's do this last one. So your range of motion. So like I said earlier on, you can stop halfway. Let me do this one. Stop halfway to do like a hold rather than going all the way down. So what you don't want is to be doing quarter reps like this, okay? But in saying that, if you are doing a full range of motion, sometimes you can decrease it at the end, like if you're doing 21s, bicep curl 21s, when you do like partial on the top, partial on the bottom, full range of motion, that's helpful. But also, if you find you're weaker at a certain point, for example, if you're weak at the bottom of a squat, like getting out of the hole or getting stuck in the hole, that's what it's called. When you're stuck at the bottom, there's no point. Well, you're more better off doing something like an Anderson squat, where you start from the bottom. You don't have the like elasticity, momentum basically from the bottom bounce. So instead you start from a dead stop and then lift. So that range of motion is smaller, but it is harder. So I think that's an important one to discuss as well.
Yeah, massively.
Find your weak points and like just work on those. Then when you lift later on, say you're squatting 50 kilograms because you get stuck in the hole at 55. If you just start with an Anderson squat, maybe you're doing 30 kilograms, you're like, fuck's sake, now I've gone down in weight. But when you master getting out of the hole, and now you can get out with 50, when you restart your squats, you're probably going to be looking at 60, 70 kilograms because now you've trained the weak point of your exercise, okay? So when you are doing progressive overload, what this is doing is making the muscles stronger. It's telling the muscles, hey, we need to be able to lift X amount of weight, total volume, or under this time for tension, that kind of thing, or at this tempo. And so we need to get stronger because that's the part of the muscle building signal. It's the body and the brain being like, hey, we need to get stronger at this. We need to build more muscle. Okay. And then the more muscle you build, the heavier you can push. The heavier you push, the more muscle you build. More muscle you build, heavier you push. Not to mention your metabolism goes through the roof as well. So you can eat more food, which also helps towards progressive overload as well. So it's a big cycle. And I think we've really trimmed it down. I know it may not feel like it, guys, but we have really like trimmed this down as best as possible. So we hope this has helped. If anyone's got any questions, put them in the comments. We will come back to them. And yeah, next week, maybe we'll talk a little bit about getting out of a plateau or something like that when training.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Hope you've enjoyed, guys. If you're a client, jump in the This Is Coaching, the private group. I'm going to put the Zoom link in there. Get ready with your MyFitnessPal names because we're going to be going through the first people that raise their hand. Have a fantastic night, and we will speak to you soon.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.